Oh, well, hello, my wonderful beautiful broskies of bros eyes of the Maverick Nation. I am the Extra Maverick, and I noticed my subscriber count, my subscriber count here today. Last time I checked, it was at 97. That's awfully close to 100, don't you think? And so, all you wonderful, beautiful broskies and broskies of the Maverick Nation, I'm going to tell you guys right here, right now, what I'm going to do for my 100 subscriber special. I will be kicking off What If Izuku Was Esdeath from Gakame or Kagame something kill. Oh, I actually have the thing. Oh yeah, I know. Akame got killed. Yes. What if Izuku was Esdeath? Excuse me. What if Izuku was Esdeath from Akame got killed? Ah, yes. That is what I will be doing for my 100 subscriber special as soon as I actually, get to 100 subscribers and, I'm actually, feeling able to do it. Because if I'm tired as hell whenever I realize that I have 100 subscribers, like if I look and I say I have 100 subscribers, but I'm really tired and want to take a nap, I mean, you know, I'm only human, guys. I'm only human. So, like the rest of you guys, only human, just saying. So, as soon as I would be able to get to it, and I would try to make, as little interruptions as possible, because I would want to make it a special video for you guys. A video. What if Izuku was Esdeath from Akame ga Kill? And I just really like Esdeath, so I thought it would be cool. You know, for like my 100 subscriber special, I do something. I test the waters, and you know, technically, get out the first part of the what if, you know, start of the anime, like in the way of the start of the anime. This is going to be a little bit of a prologue video, like everything before the start of the anime. And if you're wondering what I mean by anime, I mean like my heroes like storyline anime. So like everything pre the start of that, this is basically going to be like a prologue video. And also, me announcing that once we get up to a hundo subscribers, Esdeath, like what if Izuku Midoriya was Esdeath, will eventually come out once I get to my hundo subscribers. And I be coming along, getting those subscribers fast. I'm at like, last time I checked, I was at 97. So, yeah, coming along pretty fast. I must say I was not indeed prepared for this kind of reception. It took a while for us to get here, but we're finally getting here. All my beautiful, wonderful broskies of the broskies and broskies of the Maverick Nation. We're finally getting here. Approaching 100 subscribers. And that's whenever I will, like, you know, bring you guys, all of you guys and gals, the official, actual part 1 of What If Izuku Was Esdeath. And so, as this being the prologue, it will be everything in the past. With the actual thing is, you know how in the Green Arrow, what if Oliver Queen was actually Izuku's father, you know, Green Arrow. And how in the Iron Man what if, like the one I'm redoing, that Hisashi was the original Iron Man. You know, the story I'm doing with that. And also the story with Oliver Queen being Izuku's father instead of Hisashi for the Green Arrow what if. For this, I'm indeed going to say that, what should I do? Well, you know, everybody knows about Chubby Inko and Skinny Inko. You know, this would be back whenever it was Skinny Inko. I am indeed going to say that Inko is actually related to the original Esdeath of this story. You know, Esdeath, that Inko and Esdeath are actually related in this. And that Inko would hear about Esdeath's demise. And Inko would indeed be saddened, but then she would also be like, well, yeah, but she was indeed kinda cuckoo. And, well, Inko would just be coming to terms with the fact that Esdeath, someone she knows, in this, is dead. And Mitsuki would want to comfort her, but she wouldn't really know what she was going to be comforting Inko about. She knew that Inko was sad, she could see it on her face. And that's whenever Inko would finally tell her. Well, she would try to get Mitsuki to remember that one time way back whenever they were just little itty bitty kids. You know, she was playing on the playground and Mitsuki was going to come and join her because she saw her playing with someone and she wanted to not be left out. You know, she saw her playing with someone who had blue hair and blue eyes. And Inko would finally come clean and tell Mitsuki who that person was. that she was playing with. She would ask, "Do you remember the name that I mentioned?" And Mitsuki would be like, "Oh, yeah, didn't you say Esdeath?" And then Inko would drop a bomb. Esdeath. It's my... Well, she was my... How do I say this? What she is to me is why I was surprised that I got the quirk that I got. That I got the telekinesis quirk and not a different one. Something that resembles her power. And Mitsuki would be like, well, what power did she have that made you so surprised that you didn't have it and instead got the telekinesis quirk? And Inko would say, Esdeath was a cryomancer. Not just any cryomancer, a master cryomancer, even at such a young age. She was already extremely skilled, not just in her cryomancy, but her father taking her out with him. She had had so much combat experience. I could never have hoped to actually catch up with her whenever it came to actual strength. And whenever I was told that Esdeath, the person who I was meeting for the first time that day, whenever I was told who Esdeath was supposed to be to me, Esdeath, my, well, you know my son, right? And Mitsu's like, yeah, the one you said his name was supposed to be Izuku, right? And Inko would be like, yeah, technically, if Esdeath was still alive, I'm not exactly sure how great of an aunt she would make for Izuku. How great of an aunt she would have been. But then again, considering everything, the fact that her being my sister and me getting a telekinesis quirk instead of also having power over ice, as you know, all cryomancers, at least some form of cold. You know, pray tell the term cryomancy. And Mitsuki would be putting everything together and be like, so, that Esdeath girl, she was your sister? And Inko would just be like, yes. And like I said before, should she if she was still alive today, I really wouldn't be sure how great of an aunt she would make for Izuku. In fact, for that reason alone, I probably wouldn't let her anywhere near him. No resentment towards her, the way she thinks, the way she thought, the kind of person, the kind of person she was. She was indeed colder than the rest. I guess you could say that. And it cut above the rest as well. I I've always been someone to not wish my family ill will. Not wish them ill, any harm to come to them. I've never been that type of person. But I just don't think I'd be able to actually let Esdeath be around Izuku should she actually still have been alive. But she was indeed killed. I guess the love that she felt for that Tatsumi fellow wasn't love that would be reciprocated. I guess she would just have to learn that the hard way. At least that's what it sounded like what happened from what I was told. The people who did indeed know about my relations to Esdeath. And Mitsuki would just be like, so, you were surprised that you didn't have a cryomancy quirk like Esdeath. And from what you know about her, considering the two of you were sisters, you would never trust her around Izuku if she actually still was alive today. Well, I will indeed say it does indeed sound cold of you, Inko. No pun intended. Especially considering who Esdeath must have been to you. I definitely can see your reasoning. I always felt that every time she smiled, it was never a safe smile. I could never get comfortable enough around her. And so that's why I was always on the other side. Next to you, not next to her. The three of us, I didn't want to be around your sister. It's almost like I could sense the cold about her without even knowing that she had that kind of power to begin with. I guess it is indeed true about the eyes being the gateway into the soul. And you say she's dead, that she's been dead. Are you ever going to plan on telling him, Izuku, I mean? Because even if you don't tell him yourself, that will just, mean that he'll eventually figure out on his own, find out about it, find out about her on his own, and I don't think you would want to have to deal with that kind of baggage. I know I wouldn't want something like that to come to bite me in the ass in the end. So, please, do indeed. As friends, you can tell me, when do you plan on telling him, and if you do, when? And then Inko would just be like, about Esdeath. I still haven't decided what course of action I should take. Mitsuki, it's hard. Losing Esdeath in our own madness like that. It was so hard. And it's still hard now to know the sister I lost. The person she used to be. And now it's all gone. And Mitsuki would then stop her and just be like, no, it's not all gone. Because there's still you and Izuku, and even if she isn't alive, I'm sure wherever she is, she's looking upon the two of you. Her sister and her nephew. The nephew she could have had she lived longer. Long enough to witness him being born and to be around for him. So, not everything is lost. It may be hard, Inko, but everything will be okay. And Inko would just be like, it's easy for you to say that. And Mitsuki would just be like, man, I was not planning for this. And then Inko would be like, and that's why I was not really all that sure if I should have told you or not about it being Esdeath and about her cryomancy powers, everything about her that I knew, that I know now. And, well, eventually they would have to get off the phone because, Inko being bestest mom, bestest anime mom, No other anime mom can hold a candle to Inko, bestest anime mom. And, well, you know, she would have to do her bestest anime mom job and, take care of her son. And Mitsuki would be like, yeah, I gotta take care of Bakugo. And, it would just be like, hopefully one day our sons could become friends. And Mitsuki would be like, yeah, that would be the day. And Inko would just be like, yeah, but on the subject of that, please, now that you know, don't tell your husband, and also, please don't ever tell Bakugo about Esdeath. Last thing I need is for, you know, ammunition to be at the ready, being related to someone who many would consider a villain, even if she is dead now. I wouldn't put it past some of the members of your family to use information like that to cause Bakugo to act the same way. And Mitsuki would just be like, yeah, you're right. And then they would just get off the phone with each other. And, well, Inko would just be like, what's the date? And she would just be looking through the calendar, and she'd just be like, tomorrow. Tomorrow is. And then she'd just be like, oh my. Still don't know what Izuku's quirk is yet. Or if he even has one. Mitsuki's said before that Bakugo's already shown signs of possibly having something of a mix of her quirk and her husband's quirk. So something of an explosion quirk. If Bakugo's already showing signs from the get-go, oh, poor Izuku. I'm afraid for him. And eventually, it would come the day of the, quirk doctor visit. And, you know, just to get this big giant weight off Inko's chest for her, Mitsuki, whose son Bakugo just now left the room, it's confirmed his quirk is indeed explosions. Just now leaving the room, just now leaving the room, the quirk doctor, and Mitsuki would have already spilled the beans about her, childhood best friend, Inko, being related to Esdeath, thinking that the doctor wouldn't know who Esdeath is. And boy, was she wrong. So now the doctor's kind of tense. Like, wait, how is she related to Esdeath? And Mitsuki would be like, sisters. Well, they were, that is, until Esdeath died. Well, that's what Inko told me, at least. Yeah, that's the name of the kid's mother. You know, the next kid you're going to see. And, well, Inko would just be like, oh my god, you did not just literally tell that man that I am, like, related to freaking Esdeath. Or was. You don't even know if he, like, just how much knowledge they all, like, would have, like, what they would or wouldn't know, so why would you do that? Something so freaking stupid. And then Mitsuki would be thinking about it and she'd just be like, oh yeah, that's right, that is pretty freaking stupid of me. Well, can't, undo what's already been done. Sorry, Inko. And then Inko would be like, no, it's fine. And then Mitsuki would just mumble to herself, not from the expression you have on your face, it doesn't look like it's fine. She would just be mumbling that to herself. And, whenever Izuku was in the room and the quirk doctor is analyzing everything, and, after the tests, like, the results, well, the doctor's face, the look on his face, Inko could tell something is wrong. Otherwise, he wouldn't be looking at them like that. He wouldn't literally be shaking in his boots, in his little swivel chair. Like, skin crawling, like, level of shaking. Like, fear. Like, actually being afraid of them. And, before it was kind of like hinted at that he might be a little bit creeped out. But now, like, it's almost like the level of how scared he was, like, then, and, like, how scared he is now. Like, it evolved several times over. Like, pulled some eyes and shit. Like, Sosuke eyes and bullshit. With the freaking Hokyoku and shit. And, well, the doctor would just say what was on his mind, tell Inko just exactly why, she should also be scared too. Like, he would just say, if you were smart, you would be scared of him too. I mean, you did mention, well, before we started testing, that unlike your sister Esdeath, like, Esdeath, unlike her, your quirk is a simple telekinesis-based one that allows you to just freely levitate objects at a base level of skill. Far cry from what Esdeath was able to do with her cryomancy abilities. And I'm beginning to think that we might actually have to be using some X-Men level logic whenever it comes to this, because either that or he takes more after his aunt than he does his mother or father. Well, that's what seems to be depicted from all the tests that were being done. And then he would just show the testing area, and then all of a sudden, before Inko could actually look inside the testing area, she would just feel this big blast of cold, icy wind. And she would just be like, whoa, what happened? Like, who freaking brought Jack Frost into the room to nip at my nose or whatever? What's with the... And then she would remember cryomancy, Esdeath, and he was talking about Izuku possibly taking more after his aunt than his mother or father. Taking up more, like, taking more after his aunt than them. And, just opening up the door to the testing area, and all of a sudden this blast of cold wind. And then whenever Inko would finally feel that it was safe to open her eyes, she would see why she got that blast of cold wind. The entire area would have been frozen over completely. Like just a big ice cube. Winter Wonderland. Like whenever actually looking, like with a thermometer, like using a thermometer on the room to check the temperature. And they would realize that the temperature of the room, like the doctor would actually say he's surprised that the door wasn't actually frozen, like frost welded shut. Like frost welded shut. Like if frost welding is even a thing. It would definitely be with that kid's power. And then he would just be like, oh, looks like I dropped the ball before you could figure it out for yourself. Like, he's just like, oh, looks like I did that. Like, oops. Oopsie daisy. And Ko would just be like, that was all Izuku? Sir, with all indeed due respect, you do notice the actual temperature that the thermometer was reading whenever we were going through that room, the testing area. And the doctor would be like the quirk, like the doctor for like Izuku's whole like quirk thing, the quirk doctor. He would just be like, yes, sub-zero temperatures throughout the entire area. Colder the deeper we went in. Colder, colder, yet still growing even colder. Even if we had stood still, it would probably just have gotten even colder, even faster. Like a never-ending blizzard being contained within a room. I have no idea. That is, unless he takes everything from his aunt, not just her unusually powerful cryomancy abilities, And Inko would be like, what do you mean? And the Cork Doctor would just be like, oh, so you were never told. Oh, this is going to make things very difficult and very tense. Because apparently, you must have never been told. That power of hers. Mahaptama. Literally able to create such a powerful cold that it actually would figuratively and like both figuratively and literally freeze time with just how cold it was. The very essence of the cold itself. So cold it would actually be able to freeze time with the temperature radiating off of it. Literally and figuratively freezing time to a standstill. Within that time period, the person using Mahapta the person using that ability Mahaptama. And Inko would be like, Mahaptama? What about that ability? The time. It literally and figuratively freezes it. Yes, but you're acting like there's something more to it. And the court doctor would just be like, Mahaptama. I saw him use it. Almost like he'd always known about it. Has always known how to control it. Almost as if he was like Esdeath reborn in the flesh and in the soul and mind. Like Esdeath was being reborn through him. Her own nephew. They both have that power. Mahaptama. Anko would be like, Izuku? And the Cork Doctor would be like, I see no problem calling it what it is. The boy would just simply, as a cover story, we would say he has two quirks, both revolving around the same element, but they are the way they operate is different. The opposing sides. One more purely offensive and defensive based, and the other just complete total mind screwery while you're just helpless, unable to do anything as you're just picked apart. I wouldn't go that deep into detail if I were you about Mahabharata to anyone else, even those you trust. I would still be very careful. Yes, Izuku would indeed have two quirks. He does have two quirks. Cryomancy and the Mahabharata. And he may even be able to enact the trump cards. Esdeath's trump cards. The way he was able to so flawlessly wield that power, I have no doubt in my mind that he would be capable of doing such a thing, even at such a young age. Esdeath, at such a young age, was able to do such terrifying things. So, why would you find it so hard to believe that your son, her nephew, would be able to do them as well? And Inko would just be like, so, he has two quirks, cryomancy and Mahabharata. I see. I will inform Izuku about the results for you to save you the trouble of having to recall Esdeath's powers, as you seem to be very familiar with the fear that they put into people that know about her, what she was like whenever she was alive. Most people will just describe her with one word: crazy or sadistic. Or maybe use two words: crazy and sadistic. Technically that's three, but who's counting? So I guess that's just it. I will indeed inform Izuku. Thank you for your time, sir. And then the Crook Doctor would just be like, yes, indeed. You're welcome, Miss Midoriya. And Izuku would just be like, Mommy, results. What's my quirk? And Izuku, like, Inko would just be like looking at Izuku, and it would be like, I should only tell him about the fact that he has more than one quirk. Whenever we go around Mitsuki and Bakugo, I wouldn't want Bakugo to be hurt, and Mitsuki might actually be worried that he has both of those powers of Esdeath. Has her cryomancy and the Mahabharata. But Inka really wouldn't get that luxury of being able to be alone with Izuku for quite some time, and she would begin to realize this, and so she would just go ahead, and while they basically gone out and celebrating by getting a bite to eat, Inko would begin to realize she is not gonna get the alone time anytime soon, so she would just have to say it in front of both Mitsuki and Bakugo. What her son's, not quirk, but quirks are. And Ko would just be like, Izuku, for one thing, you have a cryomancy quirk. And Bakugo would just be like, wait, cryomancy isn't that ice power? And Mitsuki would be like, very observative of you, Bakugo. Yes, that is the ability to manipulate ice and just generate the cold around you, or even summon up some of your own. If you're a skilled enough cryomancer, that is. Only the most skilled could do some of the more complex things with their cryomancy abilities. I don't exactly see why you're so looking down in the glumps. Inko, I mean, if, you know, he has a quirk and it's something like cryomancy, I actually think that's pretty cool. And Inko's like, I wasn't finished. And Mitsuki would be like, you don't mean, what, no way. And Inko would be like, and that's just a thing. Yes, way. I'm sorry, Bakugo, but seems in quantity and quality, Izuku has you beat in both. He has two quirks. For one, cryomancy isn't his only power. His other quirk, the Mahaptima, or just simply known as Mahaptima. And, you know, Bakugo would be pretty interesting. He'd be like, what in the hell is the Mahaptima? Or just Mahaptima. What the hell is that? And Izuku would be like, yeah, what is that? And Inko would just be like, both figuratively and literally, you'd be able to actually, actually freeze time, as in freeze it. However, you wouldn't be affected by the time stop. However, both figurative and literal, it actually is to this prospect of actual freezing. And Bakugo would be like, wait, you can make it so cold that you actually freeze time? That's what this Mahaptima quirk is? And Mitsuki would be like, so it's like some sort of ascended ability beyond even his regular cryomancy quirk? That's so advanced that it's actually able to. Oh, you actually are talking about. You aren't kidding. It really is. I've heard about it, but I never thought it was actually true. Never thought that she actually had that ability. And now that I know what it's called, he has the ability to use that power as his second quirk. He can literally freeze time where he's the only one that can move and just do whatever he wants while time is frozen. And Inko would be like, all depends on how much energy is actually being put into the use of Mahaptama. You know, would basically calculate how long the time freeze would last. Or at least from what I can tell, that's how it should work. But considering the fact that he has Esdeath abilities just in general, I am beginning to become even more scared than I was before. If he has her power, then what's to stop him from becoming just like her? And, Mitsuki would be like, you, that's what. I mean, it's called parenting, Inko. I gotta do it with Bakugo, you gotta do it with your kid. Especially if he's to not end up like his auntie Esdeath. What she was like whenever she was still, kicking. And Izuku would have he would actually have a lot of questions. And, like, not really on the whole behalf of his cryomancy quirk and his Mahapta, if that's actually how it's pronounced, Mahapta quirk ability. Izuku, he wouldn't really have a bunch of questions to deal with that, because you would think the more pressing matter is if he had an aunt this entire time, and, well, his mom never told him about his aunt. There must be a good reason. Must be several good reasons from the way they were talking about her. They said something about an Esdeath, and Izuku would ask, is that his aunt's name? Esdeath. And Inka would nod her head and say, yes, Izuku, your aunt. Her name was Esdeath. And you seem to have taken more after her than anything else or anyone else in the quirk department. You not only have her powers whenever it comes to cryomancy in general, but you even have the more advanced Mahapta as a secondary quirk. Yes, you're going to need to train with both, especially the Mahapta, if we're to get it under control so that no one gets hurt or anything. And Izuku would be like, yeah, you could see how the ability to freeze time and just go all ham whenever you have, all the time in the world, or all the time that your whole energy reserves of your body will allow you to just go ham on people while time is frozen, because of your doing. So Izuku would know that he has, not only would he just have like regular cryomancy powers, but he would know that he has especially advanced, like, quirk based off of his, like, original quirk that's like more advanced, so advanced that it actually literally freezes time. That's called Mahapta. And Izuku would just be like, well, okay then. I'll get to work on working with that. We should do that as soon as possible, right? To make sure nothing goes wrong. You know? And, Bakugo would, usually you would think that Bakugo would be all bombastic, and in Izuku's face about his ability, like, having two freaking quirks, and one of them is the ability to stop time. Not just stop it like any old ordinary way, no, like legit freeze it, like actual legit freeze it. Do like a grinding halt for however long he's allowed to. This ability to just freeze time. And not only that, but he has other cryomantic like capabilities with his other quirk. All this cryomancy power. And what Bakugo has, well, explosions has to deal with fire, and fire melts ice, but, Bakugo isn't thinking that. He's thinking, even the fact that he does have a quirk that could be a potential weakness, that Mahapta thing is still on Bakugo's mind. Like, how is he gonna get around, like, a time-stopping ability? He can't, like, melt that away. Like, if it's so literal and figuratively, like, time freezing, that it freezes it that literally to, like, that much of a point. Yeah, Bakugo, like, literally has no idea, like, any sort of idea of, like, a countermeasure against the Mahapta. The Mahaptama, or whatever. I think that's, yeah, how it's pronounced. The Mahaptama. He has no, like, sort of idea of how to create a countermeasure against the Mahaptama, like his Mahaptama quirk, Izuku's second quirk, being the Mahaptama, or just Mahaptama, which Izuku won't be saying, like, the Mahaptama, he would just say Mahaptama. Like, just adding the would kind of be unnecessarily, like unnecessary add-on to, like, for whatever reason. So he would just say Mahaptama, and he would, what do you know, he'd be able to freeze time. So yeah, not only is he a pretty good cryomancer already, I mean, if he's related to Esdeath and he has, like, ice powers like how Esdeath has ice powers, he's gonna be pretty high tier ice powered, because Esdeath is pretty high tier up in the ice power department. So, that and the fact that he can freeze time with the Mahaptama quirk thing. Yeah. As you can see, tensions are indeed high. And another thing, about this is, well, how the bullying was a thing even before like the technical like actual canon of like the anime. Like when they were still kids, like Bakugo would still like do his damnedest to bully around Izuku. But that's just the thing. Well, you really think being related to Esdeath, he's gonna take that shit? No, personality shift we have here. He is not going to take that shit. He is going to drop Bakugo if he tries that shit. He would drop him hard. And Bakugo doesn't figure that out until it's too late. You know, one time he's just bullying some random ass kid for being different, and then whenever, you know, Izuku tries to let him off with a warning, like, you know, don't do this, Kachan. I don't want to have to, go to any extremes. Like he's trying to let this man's off with a warning, like, you better stop or else I'm gonna have to drop your ass. He's trying to let Bakugo off with a warning, but, Bakugo is Bakugo, so he's gonna get extreme dropped. Like, just complete and total takedown. Like, just, he's going to get, like, obliterated level of dropped. Yeah, so, Bakugo would know that whenever Izuku gives the warning, to listen to him instead of, what he usually does. He would make a mental note to listen to Izuku instead of just running his mouth. Some more. Because God knows we already have a bunch of that already. Yeah, Izuku wouldn't really be all that tolerant of Bakugo's bullshit. He'd grow very tired of it very fast, and would just to show just how tired of it he would, just to show how tired of it he is. Anytime Bakugo tries to pull that shit, he's just gonna get dropped. Eventually he just gets tired of giving Bakugo warnings. He's like, if he's gonna keep on doing this, maybe he doesn't deserve to be given a warning. I'm beginning to think that he doesn't deserve to be given a warning. I'm just gonna start dropping his ass anytime he starts some shit. And Bakugo ends up figuring that out pretty soon. Like, pretty quick, fast, in a hurry, that Izuku's done with giving warnings. Now, from now on, he's just gonna drop his ass anytime he sees him starting shit. Oh, boy. Now, let me remind you all, this is merely just a little taste of the future. And something I'm just going to go ahead and say, Bakugo wouldn't bring up the whole swan dive off the ceiling thing, because not only does Izuku have a quirk, he has two quirks, and, well, overall, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Being related to Esdeath, and, having these things that make him seem so similar to Esdeath, eventually he would, kind of go into the mold of being as brutal as Esdeath. So, yeah. Just physically, just with his physical power alone, without even, needing to use his quirk, he could take down Bakugo. He's just grown so accustomed to it that it's like second nature to him. He can he doesn't even need to use either of his quirks. He doesn't even need to use the Mahapta, but he might actually just use it just because. Like, he admits to Bakugo he doesn't actually have to use it. He's not using it because he has to. He's using it because he feels like it. Because honestly, by now, Kachan, you should know. I don't deal with your shit anymore. I've decided that I'm not going to be weak. I'm going to help the weak by becoming strong. So, kind of just taking Esdeath's father's whole philosophy that kind of twisted as Esdeath and turned her into her cold, calculating, savage self that she was before she died. Kind of just taking that sort of philosophy of Esdeath's father, which would be technically his great uncle. So technically just taking his great uncle's sort of way of how he viewed things, you know, the strong live, the weak die. Taking that little, train of thought and flipping it upside down like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air style. You know, giving a good old fashioned twist on it. Basically, Izuku's going to be the Robin Hood for all of the defenseless, people that are getting picked on. He's not going to be dealing with bullies. He's going to be like, you be bullying people, I'm going to mess you up. Not just with Kachan, like any bully that he sees, he is going to mess their shit up. Like, he's like, this is a no bullying zone. This is my zone now, and my zones are no bullying zones. And if you break that little rule, then you're going to pay the price by, me just handing you a little itty bitty present, wrapped with a little bow. And that little itty bitty present, a very, very painfully indiscreet, intimate, very intimate relationship with the ground, like the pavement. Izuku would just get real intense whenever he would talk about what he would do to people who were bullying other people because, of, for any reason, if he noticed that, there was bullying going on, the people that were doing the bullying were going to be the ones that had to pay the price. Izuku would basically be the one to bring justice upon, the entire scene of his, like, triple year as, middle school. And eventually it's the last day of middle school. And, things are all good because people know better than to, bully anyone as long as Izuku's around. Like, as long as Izuku's around, nobody is bullying anybody in that freaking middle school. Or else, people are gonna be dropping like flies. Because, the words of Esdeath's father, Izuku would just be turning those words and giving them, you know, a little bit of a makeover. Like, instead of the strong live and the weak die, instead of that, Izuku would just make it, you know, the strong, being me, will punish those that prey on the weak, being those that you bully. Basically just saying, you start bullying people around here, I'm gonna drop you. So yeah, now you can see why there's no bullying anymore in that middle school. Because every time he would drop somebody, he'd be putting the fear of God in them while he was doing it. Just be putting the fear of God in the people that he'd be dropping for bullying other people. And Izuku would see, what he would be doing as like an act of kindness for the world, like a change for the better, you know? Nowhere near as much bullying as there used to be, and so a lot more happiness. A lot less people have to. Yeah, Jesus Christ. A lot less people would be suffering, and so, yeah. That would just be the last day of middle school. And Izuku would be like, bye everybody. And, all of his classmates would just be like, we'll miss you. Thank you. Are you going anywhere anytime soon? Actually, well, can you make me something to eat first? Yes, I will feed you before we. Okay, thank you. I am freaking starving. If you can't believe that, I am. I've been a very busy bee, so yes, indeed, I do not lie. I never tell a lie. I'd be like the honest Abe of the internet. I am actually very hungry. So, yeah, making videos on an empty stomach just for you guys. We all good. We all good. You know, all of the, all of Izuku's fellow classmates, like his former fellow classmates, will just be like, we'll miss you, Izuku. Because, he was their protector. He was their basic, middle school Robin Hood. That was the role that he believed himself to be in as well. And, they would all buy into it. They would support him because they also viewed him as sort of like a Robin Hood type character, but for like the people at the middle school that would be like, have the misfortunate fate of, being bullied and just, you know, having the worst of days. You know, Izuku's, social skills, he would do his best that he could in order to improve his social skills so that he could help lift other people's day up. Like if they were just having a glum day, just try to say something to make them smile, give them a reason to be happy. Not every battle would be won with the fist. Some battles would be won with a smile. from people that he would just be cheering up by being himself. Working extremely hard on all the aspects he'd need to work on in order to continue his little, you know, Robin Hood like persona, turning the cold and calculating, you know, Esdeath, like the usage of her powers as like some sort of cold, calculating, psycho, like freaking person, psychopath, you know, turning that into, instead of anything like that, it would be flipped straight upside down. Like I said, fresh Prince of Bel Air style up in here, up in here, up in here. Fresh Prince of Bel Air style. Just flip it straight upside down. That's what Izuku would be doing. He would flip it straight upside down, and instead of being a freaking psychopathic, bloodthirsty, crazy person, he would, you know, try to be what he was in, his 3 years of middle school, his 3 years at whatever high school he got into. He would try to fill the same shoes as before, you know, be someone who can help those that are down and out, like down on their luck, be someone to help cheer people up. The people that are down on their luck, make them feel better. And, defend those that can't defend themselves or that don't have the proper abilities in order to, you know, defend themselves from whoever was trying to hurt them. And, just as soon as, the entire class, like, would hear that the two names written down for, like, the people that would want to go to UA, the first person, it would be Katsuki Bakugo, and then everybody would just breathe a sigh of relief, like they would, at first they would be breathing a sigh of relief because Bakugo would be out of their lives. Just the overall jerk that he is. But then they would be really sad whenever the second name would turn out to be Izuku Midoriya. Or as he would let himself be known, due to all of the things he inherited from his auntie Esdeath, Izuku Esdeath Midoriya. He would call himself that. Inko would never acknowledge the Esdeath thing, but Izuku would wholeheartedly, because he would flip everything upside down and give it new meaning. That would be Izuku's goal, and so, he would be wanting to take the entrance exam. People would be wishing him good luck as they waved goodbye. They would wish him good luck, and enough good luck that, he'd be able to pass and enter into UA. And some people actually would even say that, to not wish him good luck. Not because, they didn't like him, but because they were actually genuinely convinced that, they genuinely thought that, well, he didn't need luck. That just him on his own, that he would be good enough. Like, he wouldn't need any luck. Like, any, like, goodwill from anyone. That he wouldn't need any of that to actually pass. So yeah, safe to say that most, if not like everyone, except for the people that he beats up, at his, middle school that he was going to, like, safe to say that they really like him. However, Katsuki really doesn't, because he kept on getting dropped because he never learned his lesson. Still not learned his lesson. And so Bakugo would just be salty overall. Just overall salty mode. Like a saltine cracker on a bad day. Bad day of dry mouth. Like a saltine cracker. A stale saltine cracker on a bad day of dry mouth. So yeah. I would start off the official part 1. Not only whenever we get to 100 subscribers, to, be the 100 subscriber special, but, we would be going into the actual canon story. Because, that's where I'm leaving this off. Right before the very beginning of the story. Where, everything happens. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it off here on the Dawson's because of the Dark Shadow Memory gets OUT out here. You boys like, favorite, subscribe, and oh my god, you guys still will not stop leaving me those comments that just link to, I don't know what your guys' problem is, but I don't need help getting women. I mean, I'm sure if I wanted to, get a woman, it would take some time, but, in all decent relationships, it would probably take some time to, get to know the person and actually have a relationship with them to where the thing that people are trying to get me to have would indeed one day happen. I mean, I don't know what you guys think is like going on behind the scenes, but I don't need any help. So stop sending the freaking links to that same page. I don't need any help with my freaking, area. I don't need any help getting women. And I'm not even all that interested right away. If I did get a woman, it wouldn't automatically be to do that. I would want to actually get into a safe and actual secure relationship with them first, get to know them, and then maybe somewhere down the line, maybe then. But it's just, I don't know who people think I am, but I'm not. So stop it. Jesus. Or either that or else I'm going to have to find a way to ban the comment section, which I really don't want to do because, I mean, there have been some comments in the past that have been like real nice words from, as far as I can tell, real good people. And I don't want to ban the comments section just because you people won't listen. And I keep on getting the same things. Anyways, enough about that. All we just gotta do now is wait until it comes. Wait until it happens. The 100 subscriber special. Whenever I get to the 100 subscriber count, and then inevitably the special will arise, and we will actually get into the full-on, head-on canon story of MHA with this new little scenario of Izuku being like a new Esdeath. Because that's what the what if is. What if Izuku was Esdeath? So, yeah. Alan Zianadas's Dark Shadow Maverick is OUT out of here. Yeah, boys. Bye. And you click that little bell if I forgot to mention that. Anyways, bye.